At CCG, we're transforming communities through expert strategic consulting, education, and support. Headquartered in Baton Rouge, we empower public schools, nonprofits, and social enterprises with tailored solutions for lasting impact. From project management and grant writing to educational enrichment and workforce development, we provide the tools you need to thrive. Through our Conquer and Prosper e-learning platform, we boost K-12 math and literacy skills and equip adults with the resources to achieve economic success. When you partner with Conqueror Consulting Group and unlock your organization's full potential together, we'll build a future of sustainable growth, lifelong learning, and thriving communities. Conqueror Consulting Group and Community Pay It Forward. No one needs to go it alone when we all come together. Introducing Shop, Click, and Pick, the simplest way to support those doing good in communities everywhere. We understand that shopping is a necessity, but with a slight adjustment, you can make a huge difference without spending any extra money. Here's how it works. Please visit communitypayitforward.us and navigate to the Find Your Partners tab. Discover our verified giving partners, which are trusted allies ready to meet your needs. Shop with any of the partners that resonate with you. Click a picture of the receipt or invoice, then pick the mission partner you wish to support and use their QR code to send the receipt directly to us. After that, all you have to do is sit back and enjoy your purchases, knowing that you've made a meaningful change for someone in need. Community Pay It Forward amplifies your business's impact by sharing the story of those who require your services, rallying support for those who need us all. Because no one needs to go it alone when we all come together.
Born into a real fight wasn't right. Where can she dream here? Took a hold of her.
Hey everybody, it's Wednesday night, which means Community Impact. How are you doing? My name is Zak Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PAC channels. And what happened there? Why did that not show up the way it was supposed to? Well, I guess that's what happens when you don't know what you're doing. So, hey, we're here tonight. We're going to play our fourth edition of our show about accessibility, and we're going to then start doing it every other week. We've done it the first 4 weeks with Common Sense Access. We've done the first 4 weeks in a row. We're now going to move that to every other week because we're wanting to move forward with the show. We've got so much going on. There's so much left to do. And we've just got to work on getting everything put together. Next week, we will have our friend Esther. She's going to be joining us again on, I guess that's in 2 weeks. It won't be next week. It'll be a week from then. We will once again have Les and JW joining us the second week in next month. We're hoping to get back with the One Hope Wine project. We're also hoping to get back together with some of the other partners and make better shows. We're working to improve the PAC channel and make it something that you enjoy. You have a voice in this. If there's something that you would like to see, if there's something that you would like to say, you can contact me right here. This QR code, that's my business card. Scan that QR code and you can have all the information to get a hold of me. Okay, everything that you need to get a hold of me, my phone number, email address, website, everything is on that QR code. Just scan it and you're going to be able to get to me and utilize utilize our program the best way possible, the best way you see fit. So one of the other things that you can do is you can come to us and you can say, hey, you know what? I've got a great idea for a show. I'd like to talk to you about it. We are willing to put your show on our air. Here are the stipulations. Your show has to be good for everyone. Okay? And when I mean it's good for everyone, I'm not talking about the way that a lot of people think that it's good for everyone, you know, as long as you're in one group of people. Okay, we're looking for things. We're looking for people with ideas who can really make an impact in other people's lives. So if you have an idea for a show and you would like to get a hold of us, QR code up in the corner is the best way to do that. That's my For My Card. For My Card is one of our Community Pay It Forward fundraising partners, one of our great partners. You'll see the wonderful card that I've created. I'm working to defunk my card. I put a little bit too much information on it, so I'm looking to undo all the clutter and do it a little bit better. We're doing all this because next year is going to be a big year for us. Starting at the beginning of the year, we are going to be introducing the mobile app. We've got a mobile app that's coming up. The students at Arizona State University are working with us. They're creating a mobile app that's going to just maximize the program, and it's going to make it so much easier to help other people, to support other people just by simply shopping with our wonderful partners. So be looking for us the first part of next year. It's going to change Community Pay It Forward, and it's going to hopefully change a lot of people's lives. So we need you to join us. We need to make sure that you understand what's going on. If you need a little bit of help navigating what Community Pay It Forward is, I invite you. Again, you got my calendar. Get on our calendar. Let's talk. Let's make sure that you see what's going on. Let's make sure you understand, because we have all these wonderful programs that work with us. And all you have to do is simply shop with our partners. That's it. Shop with our partners, and then you get to go and you get to pick organizations that you want to support. And how do you do that? You do that by very simply turning in your receipt from your purchase. Wonderful organizations like Confronting Domestic Violence. At Confronting Domestic Violence, our mission is to provide real-time resources to abused families, including relocation services to help parents and children reach safety. We're committed to giving at-risk families a real chance to escape dangerous situations. You can support Confronting Domestic Violence by our simple program Shop, Click, and Pick. Shop with any giving partner. Click a picture of your receipt and pick Confronting Domestic Violence by scanning this QR code or visiting communitypayitforward.us and search by their name. Confronting Domestic Violence and Community Pay It Forward. No one needs to go it alone when we all come together. Sorry about that. Again, it's a very, very simple program. You shop with any of our partners. You click a picture of the receipt or the invoice they give you, and then you choose who you want to support and send us a receipt. And you can, one, take the credit for yourself. Say, you know what? I want to support an organization like Confronting Domestic Violence. I want to support other organizations, or I want to support other families. Our program is built to help people who are going through difficult times. I know I'm saying this, and most of you who are listening to this have already heard my story, probably ad nauseum. But just in case there's somebody out there who hasn't heard it, 10 years ago, I was run off the road on my motorcycle. I was left in a ditch for over 7 hours. I ended up with a fractured skull, a busted up face, and a broken neck. Yes, that's right. I had a busted up face, and they could have done anything with my face, and they gave me back the one that I've been ruining for 47 years at the time. No, I'm sorry, it was 3 years. 43 years at the time, I guess, if it was 10 years ago. So, yeah, they, could have made me look like anybody. They made me look like me. Come on. Really? Anyway, getting past all that. And one of the hardest things that I had to go through, there were two parts of that were extremely difficult for me. One, when I was told by the people who were supposed to be there to support individuals in tough times that I wasn't eligible for their services because I, quote unquote, made too much money the previous year. Look, there is absolutely no doubt about this statement. Their calculations are wrong. Okay, even with the job that I had where I made decent money, but not enough for a family of four. It was hard to do anything. Okay, so we were still under the government explanation of poverty limit. Okay, yet we did not make enough money, or we made too much money. Sorry, I made too much money to get the assistance the previous year. I don't know how many of you who have been injured or even had anything that happened negative to your body. The stresses that come along with paying bills that are overdue, eating dinner, feeding your family, getting your kids to school, being able to do things for your kids, whatever. The stresses about that are terrible. Okay, and they do damage to your body. They do damage to your soul, your mind, everything. It makes it very, very difficult to heal. Okay. When I started Community Pay It Forward, I wanted to make sure that we were also providing resources. And I've had some conversations with some wonderful people the last couple of days, and I made sure that they understood that one of the greatest things that we are doing is we are putting together a group of people who offer resources to people all over the globe. From sea to shining sea, from country to country to continent. We want to make it to where somebody can say, hey, I've got a big issue. I've got so-and-so that's in this place that needs help with dinner. Can anybody help? And we can come together as a society, as a group. We can come together, and sorry about all the noise, damn alerts. We can come together as a group of individuals, and we can find assistance for people everywhere. We're in a state of technology where social media, we're connected to people better than we've ever been connected. We're connected to people we don't want to be connected to, let's be honest. Go through your friends list. How many people, well, yeah, I remember that person, I guess, they were okay. Hey, we had a couple beers together, but, you know, I don't know if we're friends. I don't know if we're acquaintance. I don't even really know the person. We've got people like that. And those people are so important to this because they could be the conduit. They could be the reason why we are able to take and connect with somebody in an area that can help feed a family or help a family after a tragic incident like they're dealing with in out east, the southeast part of the country right now. By the way, just a real quick switch here. If you scan this QR code for the next week and you attach any of the community pay it forward giving partners, if you attach their receipt to this QR code, it is going to help our friend Holly Miller as she is trying to get basic toiletries to people in the affected areas, okay, through Dotsera. So Holly Miller, this is our community pay it for community dare to care QR code. Okay, we ask you to go on ahead and scan this code whenever you want, if you want to choose this code, because this code helps us take in food, take in clothing, take in stuff like that, and make sure that we have it available for people when they need it. We never charge for clothes. We never charge for anything that is life critical needs. If it's donated to us, we want to get it into the hands of the people who need it. Okay, that's it. We want it to get into the hands of the people who need it. It's important that we do this because we've got to make sure that people have somewhere to go. It's ridiculous that there are people out there who have nowhere to go. There's resources out there. Let's talk about these resources together. You can join us here on the PAC channel. You can join us on Community Impact, and you can come on and talk about some of these smaller nonprofits that are out there that are doing wonderful, wonderful things. Bring them on with you. I want to tell people about them. I want people to know that they're out there. That resource is so important. And if people are saying, I wish I knew about you before, ... It's devastating to small businesses, to large businesses, to nonprofits. It's devastating because they're doing everything they can to get the word out there. If you've ever said to yourself, and any person who supports a small nonprofit has said this to themselves, I don't understand why people don't know about you. Here is your chance. Come on to Community Impact. Let's talk about these nonprofits. Let's get their word out there. Money runs the world. We know this. Everybody knows this. Okay? It's very important to donate. The next best thing, and something that I think can be even more important, is telling their story, telling people that they're out there. There are people out there right now that are sending money towards the end of the year. They're sending money into these big organizations because they don't know what's in their own community. Okay? Everyone knows the big players in the nonprofit world. Everybody knows about them. Small story here, and I'm going to name names here. You guys have heard me talk about going to some of the big box stores and they ask you to round up to the nearest dollar and give it to insert big name organization here. Well, once again, 14-cent donation to some of these big organizations, whatever. They're going to find a use for 14 cents, okay? One of the Walmarts here in Greeley on 47th Avenue and 10th, they had a wonderful organization that we worked with for a long time. Literally a block behind them. Literally a block behind them was the Avery Center. Imagine how much more the Avery Center could have done with that 14 cents if they would have done their due diligence and known that a block away from them is a small organization that they could have helped. Let's make that noise and make sure people are hearing about them. Okay, so anyway, back to my story again. Any attached receipt for the next week is going to Holly Miller to support the people who have been affected by the storms. After my accident, I kind of forgot where I was there for a second, which, yeah, let's be honest, head injury plays a lot into that, but I wasn't that bright to begin with, so, it is what it is. But anyway, after the accident, I had the stressors of trying to get stuff done. You've got doctors telling you need to not, you need to relax. You need to be patient. You need to, rest. You need to do this. You've got to relax. You got to relax. You got to relax. Yet every day you're told, we don't have electricity now because you decided to pay rent instead. Okay, well, this month we've got electricity and we've got the car payment in, but now we got late fees on the rent. Here comes the gas company to turn off the gas. Or you're out of fuel in your car, so good thing you've got a car payment. Ain't no money for gas in the damn car. You cannot heal that way. Community Pay It Forward was born to make a change there. You make a purchase, you're helping support people who are in that situation. It takes a little time. I'm not going to lie to you. I wish we were set up to where we can say, hey, you know what? We got a family over here that if we give them $40, we can get their lights turned on. We can get their kids to school. Let's just give them $40. It's done and over with. But that's not our program. I'm not in a position where I can do that. It's just not feasible. But instead of going to one of the big organizations to get a website built, if you use one of our website builders or, use anybody like, we'll just say our good friend Trevor Gibbs, to build mobile apps and stuff. You use him, utilize his service. Instantly, just by being a little bit pickier on where you do your shopping, you're making a donation to somebody. You could have made a donation to your neighbor who slipped and fell and broke their leg. They can't go to work for 6 to 8 weeks. The bills don't stop, but the paychecks do. And if the paychecks don't stop and they've got injury insurance, they only get 60% of 40 hours. My job, I was working 70 hours a week. 70 hours a week. I was making more in 1 week than I now make on disability for an entire month. Yeah. Reason 2 why I do this. And this is the reason for the Cub Club. The Community Dare to Care Cub Club. My son, my youngest boy, had a chance to go to Germany, Switzerland, and Austria with his German club. He earned that trip. He worked his butt off for that trip. But I was laid up. Somebody ran me off the road. What could I do? The school comes to me and they tell me, well, you can make payments. And of course, being the optimist that I am, that's almost funny. I would say, yeah, let me think about it. Let me see what I can do. Knowing it's not a chance in the world. Oob didn't get to go on that trip. And I'm going to tell you right now, I would go through that accident every day for the rest of my life. Just to have been able to send him on that trip. Just to be able to tell him, you know what? I am so proud of what you have done. I'm so proud of who you are and who you've become, all the hard work that you did. You belong in Germany. You belong in Switzerland. You belong in Austria. You belong to go and see these countries that are our forefathers, our ancestry. We're from that area. You deserve to go and see that. I would give anything. Matter of fact, let's be honest here. Everybody has a bucket list. That is my bucket list. To get my son to go, we'll do a family trip. We'll go over there. Of course, I got to be on a ship. I can't be in a plane. Cabin pressure won't. I can't be in a place with the cabin pressure. So that hurt. It hurt me a lot. But now, these kids, they earn a trip. I always get the kickback, so I always have to say this. Your kids work their butts off and they win a trip to Washington, D.C. I don't give a damn who the president is at that time. If your child wins a chance, earns that chance to go to the president, go to the White House, by God, they should be able to go because that is something special. And it doesn't matter who's the leader of the free world right there. They may not even remember, but they will know that they were in a place that is America. They were in a place, they earned it, and it'll incentivize their learning. It'll keep them driving towards other things. It doesn't matter. I've said it forever. There's a lot of problems with our government, but we never take that out on our kids. If our kids earn something like that trip, by God, they ought to be able to go to it. So any of you parents who are sitting there and saying, well, I was going to send my kid, but my kid's not going to go to the White House with this person in it. Stop. You're hurting your child. You think you're making a statement, but you're hurting your child. If your kid's good at football, makes it to the Super Bowl, and he decides or she decides doing whatever she does, she decides that, I'm not going to go and be celebrated by this president. That is fine. Let them decide. But if they earn a trip to go with their class, if they busted their butt to do this and they earn a trip, let them go. Believe me, I would do anything to go back in time and allow my kid that chance to go on that trip. I came up with one of the foundations of the company when I was working with the Darringtons. And we decided we were going to do this fun little thing. We took our cue off Facebook. Rania, she found this post, and it was funny. And the post said, hey, you know what? Give me a like and give me a share. And, when I get to whatever it was, I'll break an egg over my head. And so we decided, you know what? This is going to be fun. So we decided, you know what? Get us to $50. And we're going to donate the money to someone else. Get us to 50. And you can meet us at this day, at this time, at the Windjammer. myself, Logan, Rainia, and two other people that will remain nameless. Lisa Miller, God rest you. We miss you. And Jerry Clayton. Oh, wait, I said I wasn't going to say their names. I'm sorry. They chickened out. Thank God we had Rainia's daughter who stepped up and she went in and she literally took it on the head for us. But we got to the $50. We got the 50 likes, the 50 shares in 3 minutes. It was amazing. We didn't even have a chance to start discussing who we were going to give the money to, and we had the money that quick. So we make a little bit of a change. Just changing the system. We say, you know what? You get this to $100 and we'll draw the five names of people, 5 different names, and each person gets to take and crack an egg over someone's head. Took a little bit longer than 3 minutes. It took 7. All right. And we had the $100. Still didn't even know who we were going to donate to. But we just kept the rest secret until the day came. And it was 30 days later. It was a really quick put together event. And we ended up taking and finding out, who the person was going to be, who was going to receive the funds. And what we did is we took and the 4 of us, because we had 2 chickens, Lisa, Father, who will remain nameless, Lisa, Father. We ended up bringing in 3 cases of eggs, 3 of the big cases. Okay. If we would have known egg prices were going to be what they were, or what they are right now, we would have sold the eggs and we would have made this family millions instead of, breaking them over our head. Hindsight. But instead, what we did very simply was this. We sat there and we said, you know what, you guys did great. Now let's just do it this way. $1 an egg, you come, you bust it over our head. In a total of 45 minutes worth of work. 45, and I'm getting to the point of the story, and I know this is a little drawn out and long, but please bear with me. In a total of 45 minutes worth of work. Believe me, it seemed a lot longer. It seemed like I was in that chair for about 4 hours. You don't know what uncomfort is until you've got egg gut dripping into your ear, in your eyelids, up your nose, on your mustache, and your beard. I know, ladies, it's terrible to think about your mustache and beard being covered in egg. On your tongue, because you just go to try to breathe and you're like, I'm a fat guy. I love omelets. I couldn't eat an omelet for a month after this. 45 minutes. We ended up raising $789 for this family who had just lost their daughter to leukemia. Total of 45 minutes worth of work. That was it. And the dad came up to me and the dad gave me the energy to really put my all into this when he asked me one simple question. And that question is a question that we should ask ourselves every day. Okay, the dad asked me this question. He goes, why? Why the F did you do this when you don't even know me? And I looked at that dad this day. It wasn't prepared. It wasn't anything, but I looked at him that day and I answered him very simply. And I said, look, brother, I don't need to know who you are. I don't need to know that, I don't need to know anything. I just need to know that you need help. And we can try to find a way to help you. I don't need to know who you are to want to help. I just need to know that you need the help. And that is the reason why Community Pay It Forward has started. So, now you know the three of the reasons why I started this goofy thing. My first thought was I was going to get into event planning. Very sorry, I've been feeling that for a little while. I was going to get into event planning, and it was something that I was working hard on. I was I was sitting there and I was thinking about this and thinking about all the things that I could do because of all my experience with other events, and I stopped and I started to think about it. And I was like, man, you just wasted that 3 minutes of all those thoughts about event planning because you don't like people enough to be an event planner. So we went away from trying to think about being an event planner and we created Community Pay It Forward. We being me and my three other personalities right there. Now we've grown into something special and we're asking people to join us. Join our team, join our family. There's many ways that you can join us as a community partner, as a giving partner, as a mission partner, as a sponsorship partner. So many ways that you can join us. Once again, well, let me change it back. This QR code right here is the easiest way to get a hold of me. I'll send you the information and you can find out how you fit best in our program. We're going to get going here in a minute with communities or with Common Sense Access, but I want to tell you about a very special event we have coming up in December to battle depression, to battle the heavy thoughts that we all feel during December. It's a miracle of a community that cares. Okay. This is a little video that explains a little bit about it, okay? This holiday season, as the world celebrates in so many ways, some families are facing it apart, feeling the weight of loneliness. At a miracle of a community that cares, we are creating a space where everyone, regardless of faith or background, can share in the joy of this wonderful season. Join Santa and leaders from all walks of life for stories, special shout-outs, and heartfelt messages from loved ones near and far. Children are taking the lead with art and fun, helping us bring the gift of books to children everywhere. Children in hospitals, children to families of all faiths, and to fortify traditions of families. This season, let's come together as a global community, one that cares, one that gives, and one that embraces all cultures, part of the miracle. Join us from December 24th to December 26th, and let's make this season unforgettable for everyone. Hey everyone, it's Zach, introducing a special edition to Miracle of a Community That Cares event, where award-winning children's author and Community Pay It Forward giving partner Maggie Van Galen is generously donating 3 of her beloved books and 1 hour virtual authors meeting valued at over $175. You know us, we're going to do things a little bit different. Maggie will personally read these heartwarming stories during the event. You could be the solo sponsor of this read. Tickets are just $20, and the winning ticket holder will be announced December 21st at noon East. Don't miss a chance to make a meaningful impact this holiday season and get your tickets now by scanning the QR code or visiting us at communitypayitforward.us. When the form opens up, this is what it'll look like. Scroll down to the Make a Donation, Purchase a Ticket, or Become a Sponsor section. Get involved how it best suits you. Tickets can be bought by selecting the last option of this section. Thank you for supporting a miracle of a community that cares. Right here, you'll see the 3 books that somebody's going to walk away with for a small $20 donation. Okay, you're going to tell us what to do with these books. Are we going to send them to you so you can give them to your kids? Maggie has signed each book or signed one. Yeah, right here. Maggie has signed each book. I was like, I know I saw signatures in there. Am I just talking out my butt? Maggie has signed each book, so each book has a message from the author. Plus, if you choose to take and donate these books to your hospital in your local town, what we ask you to do is we ask you to do like this individual did and write your information up here up top, from the Smith family, and then write the word to underneath it. A nurse can now take this book, and when they have a child in their pediatric ward, a child that's scared, a child that's going through something that they don't want to go through, something that they're not ready for, their poor little bodies are just not ready for it, they can take this book, they can write their name in it, they can give them this book. They'll have this book as a memento, knowing that someone in the community cares enough about them to get them a gift. You and I may see it as a book. This is something that this kid's going to carry around for a long, long time. Every time that this kid opens it and sees the Smith family, they may never know who you are, but they know that you are out there and you cared enough to support them. So, what we ask you to do, scan this QR code, okay? Once you scan this QR code, you're going to tell us exactly how you would like to support Community Pay It Forward, and one of the options can be entering to win the 1 hour solo sponsor as Maggie reads her 3 books in the Adventures of Keno and Ernest series. You will also win these 3 copies, these 3 autographed copies of these books. Again, you tell us to find a hospital for them, send them to you so you can give them to your kids, give them to a family in need. These books are yours. We do with them what you ask us to do. But the most important thing is when you win, if we draw your name on December 21st, you are going to, we're going to record you as you read or you talk and you introduce Maggie Van Galen. You do that. From the Smith family, this is Maggie Van Galen reading her books. We want to thank everyone in the world for all the work you do and wish everyone the best. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you want to say, as long as it's positive. You win. You tell us what to do here. Woo. You throw stuff around and you make a difference. Then we record you one last time as you say, we want to thank Maggie Van Galen for reading her books. And again, thank you to all the people who are out there. Have a wonderful, holiday season. Please be safe. Please know you're loved. It's up to you, okay? But that hour is yours as a sponsor. So $20, it's the last thing you can bid on in this QR code. Just go in there, you give us your $20, you become a sponsor of the show. Everyone who sends us $20, and I'm sorry for spitting on the mic there, everyone who sends us $20 will be listed on the website as somebody who entered. So you will get a little we'll give you something for supporting what we're doing. We also need sponsors. We need volunteers. We need people to help us out. Okay. So please get involved. When we return, we will bring you our series in accessibility. Okay. And this is a really, really good episode. This one's a little bit longer, but it's well worth it because this is one that talks about, this one is the one that talks about myths and things that you've heard, some that are crazy and some that are understandable misconceptions. Some of them are really crazy, I'm going to tell you right now. So, but anyway, when we return, we will be talking about this. But first, coming up a week from Sunday, is the Chili Cook-Off and book drive here in Greeley, Colorado. If you're anywhere in the world and you can hear my voice, get to Denver and I'll come and pick you up from DIA. Whoever said ignorance is bliss never ran a business. Did you know the vast majority of businesses don't make their products accessible to people with disabilities? And did you know that the collective buying power of people with disabilities is over $2 trillion? And if you're a business owner, you need to know how to make your business accessible so you're not leaving this money on the table. I want to tell you about my family partners at Real Life Access, who can help you connect with this underserved market. Real Life Access clients experience 3 amazing things. First, a reputation for accessibility that brings customers to your door. Second, a freedom of worry about legal consequences from not being ADA compliant. And third, increased revenue. Real Life Access team members offer common sense accessibility solutions which won't break your budget. These are business people who understand the challenges faced by all small businesses. They are also people with disabilities who know what it takes to be accessible. Check out their courses, coaching packages, and so much more at reallifeaccess.com. You'll be glad you did. Everybody, it's Zak Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PAC channels joining us again. Our 4th episode. Boy, we're just knocking these ones out of Common Sense Access with the founder of Real Life Access, Angela Fowler, and the co-founder of Pieces of Me, Daniel Hodges. How are you both doing?
Well, rather is it incongruous? Incongruent? What's the word, Dan?
Depends on the context.
Well, the context is I have a sweater on and I'm on the beach.
Yeah, that's definitely incongruent.
Incongruent.
Although, you know, when I took my ex-wife on a trip to San Diego in June, I somehow literally had to buy her a sweater to be on the beach. So maybe it's not.
Well, okay. Well, but there's a reason for that. Now, as professionals, you know, we're always working to up our game, right? And my game, my tools do not include the ability to produce stunning visuals and camera work and things without, you know, some sort of coaching, assistance, you know, luck, winning the lottery, you know, whatever. So I was told last week, I said, you by my very kind business coach. I mean, just one of the sweetest people. But she's very kind and very straightforward at the same time, right? So she's like, now, Angela, I say this in love. I want you to look your most professional for this upcoming corporate launch. You really need to get your dresser out of your background.
Yeah.
So yeah. I said, yeah, you know what, Kathleen, you're right. So I've been experimenting with virtual backgrounds, and I said, you know what? I want to be on the beach right now. So I just put myself on the beach. And then Zach pointed out, you are on the beach. You're wearing a sweater. This looks incongruent. So I said, you know what? I'm going with it.
Yeah, let's be honest with some of the weather we've got going on in the, Gulf of Mexico right now. Uh, the beaches
Nothing
aren't
surprises
exactly what they're
anybody.
supposed to be. Okay, so I don't think that there's anybody who's going to blame anybody for wearing sweaters or scuba gear or any of that right at this moment. So
That's what I should have done.
yeah, yeah, scuba
I
gear.
should have got some scuba gear.
So our topic today is one that really should be interesting to a lot of people, because this is dealing with a lot of the myths. Some of them are ones that are understandable, and then some of them are just flat out ridiculous. But they're true myths that certain people have. These are things that people truly do think. As ridiculous as they are, there's misconceptions out there that this is the way it is. So,
And
Angela, why don't you get us started?
well, the first myth. Now this now we've got 6 myths here. Three of them are going to be, when you think about it, yeah, understandable, even though they might seem ridiculous on the surface to someone who has been blind all their life. We've got 3 that are really kind of out there. So we're going to alternate. Now, Zach, do you have the email I sent you with the list of myths?
Yeah, and
Okay.
the first is, if you don't see a disability, it doesn't exist.
Gotta see it to believe it.
Right.
And I'm totally blind. I also have a significant hearing loss. And people can see the fact that I'm blind. It's obvious. I have a long white cane, I wear dark glasses, all the things that you might, associate with being blind. But nobody can see that I'm hard of hearing. So people, a lot more understanding about the whole blindness thing without me having to explain. But when it comes to hearing, it takes some explaining. I really have to explain to people, hey, look, I can't hear. I'm not trying to be rude. If you talk to me and I don't respond, I'm really not being a jerk. I probably just didn't hear what you're saying. So it's not, for me, I'm also on the other side of it too, because if I don't have a reminder that something is a thing, then sometimes I just go, through life like the wrecking ball that I am, and I don't consider it as much as I should. So, Dan, do you want to take a stab at this as well?
Absolutely. And, like Angela, I have a visible disability, blindness, as well as an invisible disability, connective tissue disorder, which comes with chronic pain and chronic fatigue. And, you know, the other issue we run into in that situation is you get misattribution. So, for example, when I'm dealing with vertigo, as I have been for the last few days, it's really easy. Oh, well, you're blind. Maybe you're disoriented because of that. No, actually, those are two totally separate matters. And the reason we want to bring this up beyond just our stories is because, statistically speaking, the majority of disabilities that are out there are non-visible or non-obvious. So when people go out there and they have an image of a person with disability in their mind, that can often exclude a good chunk of the population, and it could lead to some really uncomfortable and counterproductive encounters. Basically people saying, "Hey, why are you parking in that that handicap spot when you look perfectly fine to me?" Well, okay, maybe that person appears to be perfectly fine. You don't know if they've got, 5 pounds of titanium, in their body and, holding their back or their legs together. It's not apparent.
And
And
sometimes it's not a matter of necessarily of strength, but a matter of stamina, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other thing too is, we think of disabilities as being consistent, and sometimes they are, most of the time they're not.
I, with my hearing loss, in which being completely deaf in my right ear, there's a lot of that vertigo, a lot of that losing balance, a lot of that, just there's all kinds of things that, I deal with. Plus, I've also got the metal in my legs. I've got, metal everywhere else. There's a lot of times, I'll park in the handicap spot. If I'm not feeling well, I'll use that. I'll utilize that, and I'll get out and people will just be thinking, oh, look at this guy. You're right. And it's like, wait a minute, you don't know what I'm dealing with. Okay.
Exactly.
You don't know. Just because I don't physically look like I've got an issue, you don't see that I don't have a human ankle, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a metal rod where my ankle used to be. All these other things. And yeah, I that is one thing that people don't understand, that no, just because it doesn't show doesn't mean it's not there.
And the other side of that, as somebody with a visible disability, which isn't, you know, physical in the sense of it's sensory, not physical.
Mhm.
Um, I have been at various times in my life pressured to get a handicap placard and park in the handicap spot for the convenience of other people. And I'm like, no, I don't. One thing, I don't need it. For another thing, I don't want it. And for another thing, no.
Yeah.
So you can't, you can't tell. You can't now. This is not to say that there aren't people that take advantage of the system, because there are.
Oh, absolutely.
But you can't tell. You can't tell the difference by looking. You may think you can, but really you can't.
And really and truly, the good that could be accomplished by ferreting out the few that game the system, in my mind, is vastly overshadowed by the harm that is done by just really negative encounters with people who, again, have those non-obvious disabilities, don't really want to be parking in that spot to begin with, but have to do so by virtue of pain and fatigue. The last thing we want to deal with is somebody else who has maybe the best of intentions, but has just made the whole thing that much more difficult to deal with. That's really and truly, it's just the potential good is significantly outweighed by the harm.
And no, nobody likes you know nobody likes that person. That person that's always going around policing other people's behavior. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
just
Yeah.
just 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 chill.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, it is it's I let me ask you this. If somebody were to come up to you and they go, "Well, why are you utilizing this? I don't even think you're truly, you even truly got this affliction." That makes somebody feel like, well, okay, why am I getting yelled at for being who I am, right?
Yeah.
I like, let's put it this way, Angela and Daniel, you guys can both, once again, you both know that you can tell that you are blind. So there is no doubt about it that you've got the physical, or the sensory, like you said, disability of no sight. But if somebody tells you, well, that's it, I mean, you can't drive anyway, why the hell do you need the placard? But there are other reasons to maybe need that placard. It's not just that you're blind. It's not just that, you're going to roll up in your van and park in a handicap spot.
Yeah, and Zach, I don't know about you, but we're both guys who have metal in our feet and legs. I've got metal in both middle and both femurs, and there's going to be more coming later. And I don't know about you, but there's always been that tendency to say, well, is it worth it to go through the hassle of parking here, or should I just tough this out? Should I just grit my teeth? Should I just, tune out the pain? And the last thing we need after we finally cross that point where we're able to accept that it's not a matter of toughness, it's a matter of practicality. The last thing we need is somebody coming up and digging up that question again and having to deal with it all over again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, if I'm feeling okay, I don't mind parking elsewhere. I don't care. I'll leave those parking spots open because I don't need them at that point in time.
Yep.
If I need them, I need them, and I don't want to be questioned about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I've got better things to do than to talk to you about what I went through, physically.
Yeah. So basically, don't assume. If sometimes if we all minded our own business, we would get so much further in life.
Right. Now, people, with, okay, let me see here. Now we'll go on to one of the ridiculous ones.
We are entering the realm of the ridiculous.
Right. And you have down here that blind people know sign language.
You have no idea how many times I get this question. Now let me just explain this.
Okay.
The eyes and the ears are two completely separate. When the eyes don't work, we can't see sign language. When the ears don't work, we need sign language.
And
people may be getting it mixed up with tactile sign language, which is a thing. But the thing about it is the vast majority of people don't know that tactile sign language exists. So while I try to give you guys the benefit of the doubt, I just can't.
I'll be honest with this one. You're right. This one's a little ridiculous to me. I've never seen somebody, who has lack of sight and walked up to him and tried to give him sign language. I wouldn't think that was not that I know sign language anyway.
If you did, you would be wasting your time and effort because we can't see you.
Right. And I guess this is kind of one of those that would be like walking up to a deaf person and talking slowly.
Talking slowly and
loudly.
As if that, or talking to somebody that doesn't speak English good and speaking louder.
Yeah.
Like, no, that does not work. That does not work. Raising the volume of your voice does not enable them to understand you better. You speak more slowly and articulate your words better, unlike most Americans that run our words together. And I'm in that camp too. I do the same damn thing.
Oh yeah.
And on that note, pro tip: as somebody with a hearing loss, speaking louder and especially in an echoey situation doesn't help me either.
Yeah. We've talked about it before that if I'm in a busy situation, I'm hearing everything. I'm hearing everything out of one ear, and it makes it very, very complicated.
Everything at the same time.
Yeah, you're hearing everything at the same time. You're hearing things that you don't want to hear. Yep. You're hearing conversations you don't want to hear, and it gets confusing, aggravating, all those things in one. And if you're sitting there yelling at me, that doesn't help. It does not make it any better.
Not helpful at all.
Daniel?
Oh.
Yeah, I'll throw on this too. We get all the time, okay, where is such and such thing? Oh, it's over there, as they point.
Yeah.
It's a thing, and it happens frequently. But again, pro tip here, a lot of people don't know how to give directions based on effectively based on a clock face. If you think about an old analog clock, 12 o'clock being directly in front of you, 6 behind, 3 to your right, 9 to your left, that is actually it's a much more intuitive way and a um much simpler way to give directions, even for somebody who's not necessarily great with their left and rights. And we've learned that most people don't know their cardinal directions. Okay. The face of the clock will work if it needs to.
Well, it will work if you are oriented, because when I'm facing you, my 12 o'clock is actually your 6 o'clock.
That's true.
Now, other things that you can do, give directions in relation to a known object. So I finally trained my dad when he'd park, and he would try to give directions in relation to the way that I'm facing while I'm in the process of getting out of the vehicle. So I finally got him trained to give directions in relation to the way the vehicle is facing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So give directions in relation to a known object. Give directions and honestly, there is something to be said for just leading us to something. Not that we can't find it. Not that we're not independent, but simply to save both of us the awkwardness of messed up directions.
I think I think one way to put this for people who they may be able to understand this a little bit. Okay, have you ever been in a car where the passenger is trying to get you somewhere and they forget that they're guiding you? In other words, have you ever been in the car where I'm trying to give you directions and I just completely phase out that I'm supposed to be giving you directions? Because that's the way it usually goes. Okay, hey, Zach, can you show me where this is? Yeah, sure, let's go. 3 minutes into the trip, oh, damn, we were supposed to turn like a mile back that way. I'm sorry, I forgot I was taking you.
If you hit Mexico, you've gone too far.
Yep, there you go. That's exactly what this is like. If you're in a car and you're supposed to have somebody telling you where to go, and they're sitting there talking about something, like the burrito that they want to eat, and forget to tell you how to get to the burrito store, this is what it's like. Okay, so.
Well, and another one of my favorites is when people shout directions at me over other noise.
Yeah.
I can't hear you. Do not do this. You are just adding to the cacophony.
Again, that's just, if you're adding noise to noise, all you're doing is creating confusion.
You're just
And aggravation
contributing to the noise pollution problem.
Yep. And aggravation is really a good one with me. So,
well, we are going to contribute some more to the noise pollution problem as we explore myth number 3.
People with disabilities are unable to do basic things.
Now this, God grant me patience.
Daniel, did you just cringe when she said that?
Yeah.
Well, Dan knows that I pray for patience on a daily basis because, well, God knows I don't need any more strength. That might be dangerous. So here's the thing about that. I have to constantly be reminded that most people have never actually interacted with a blind person.
Right.
And I have to constantly, tell myself, Lord, forgive them, for they know not their own ignorance. But it's understandable. People, when you look at it, and when you look at it from other people's perspective, it's understandable because they're looking at how they themselves would do those things if they were to suddenly lose their vision. Now, let me explain how this works. If you suddenly lose your vision, you're going to go through a time where you probably will be unable to do basic things because, for one thing, you're traumatized, and for another, you're used to doing it. But then you're going to learn how to do those basic things as a blind person. We have alternative techniques that we use that we don't need our eyesight. And eventually you're going to be able to do life competently and confidently again. And that goes with other disabilities as well. Now, as a person with a disability, called amazing for doing basic things, it it can be frustrating, right? It can be really frustrating because it's like, I'm trying to apply for a job here, and you're saying I'm amazing for being able to tie my shoes. This is not where I want this conversation to go.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's a matter of, again, patience. It's a matter of understanding. It's a matter of I don't know, acceptance, tolerance, and all those other things. Dan, you talk for a while before I get myself in any more trouble.
Well, and I think there's a few critical things that come from this. One is we lose the ability to receive praise for the things that we do, which legitimately are amazing. And then also, when there's no confidence that we can do the basic things, it becomes inconceivable that we can do things that are, valuable to, say, an employer or, in other, merit-based context. If somebody's amazed that we can tie our shoes, it's going to be pretty hard to convince them that we can, you know, do computer programming or be a lawyer or whatever the case may be. It's just a harder leap to make.
Let me say too that tying one's shoes and computer programming and being a lawyer, each of those things requires a completely different skill set.
Is this a problem because people see you when you walk into a room, they see you have no sight, they instantly think, okay, this person's going to be good for this, and this. Before you even start talking, they're going to start trying to place you in places that would best benefit them rather than listening to you.
That's actually a step up from where we are right now.
Okay, no.
Yeah, that's actually the next level. Once they figure out that we do in fact have skills and we are good for something, then people will try to place us in the blind arenas. Now, some people, not everybody, some people. I don't want to generalize either.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
and the advice I would give you is just suspend disbelief. If you see somebody with a disability and you think, oh my goodness, they're so amazing for doing this, just take a step back and watch and learn how they do it.
Right. Daniel, do you have anything to finish this one out?
No, just kind of echoing what Angela said. We always tell people curiosity over skepticism.
Yep.
If you don't know how something is done, perfectly okay to wonder, to learn, but go at it with the assumption that there is a way, not with an assumption that there is no way.
And
see, on my experience, I came, I lost my hearing into my 40s. So, the hearing, and then I ended up with my, the disabilities in my legs and then the brain injury and stuff. I did that in my 40s, so I know what it's like the later on in life. When you're born with it, the learning is completely different.
yep, and it is. And as my son is constantly pointing out to me, if someone else's experience with a blind person is with someone who just lost their vision, or maybe somebody that doesn't have the training yet, then their idea of what a blind person can do might not mesh with what a blind person can actually do. But that's their experience. That's what they've seen. So, I tell people, when you met a person with a disability, you met one person with a disability.
Mm. Well, and again, not every disability is the same.
Right.
One blind person's experience is not going to be the same as another person's their experience as a blind person. I mean, everybody's going to experience things in a different way. So, right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay, the next one that is ridiculousness. Guide dogs know how to cross a street.
And they know what street you're on, and they can read signs and directions, and they can take you to places that you've never been. Guide dogs, this is what guide dogs know. Guide dogs know how to get you out of the way of something that's about to hit you if you make a mistake in crossing a street. Guide dogs also know how to guide you around obstacles. Now, they can be trained, they can learn to take you to familiar places. So if you take the same route to work every day, the guide dog will just, hey, we must be going to work. Which becomes problematic when you're actually going someplace else and you mindlessly follow the dog. I've seen that happen. They can learn to follow familiar people, but they don't have the ability to use the type of reasoning that a human would use in terms of, okay, the light's green, but there's a car coming, or the lights, there's no traffic coming in this direction. Traffic patterns just change to this, therefore it's safe to cross. They don't have the ability to put things together like that. That's the human's job. The human is the boss of the dog, not the other way around.
I think it's important to point out here there are 0 reputable guide dog schools who will place a guide dog with a handler who is not already a competent cane traveler.
Amen. If you know what you're doing, the guide dog will enable you to do it faster. And I just wanted to throw this one thing out. I have 2 pet dogs, puppy dogs, and people ask me, is she your guide dog? Is he your guide dog? I said, yep. They guide me to their food. They guide me to their water. They guide me to their toys. They guide me outside and back in again at their own whim.
Oh, in that case,
Never
I've
guide
got
me to anywhere I want to go.
in that case, I've got a couple guide dogs. 3 of them, as a
I
matter of
think we've
fact.
all
They
got guide
guide
dogs.
me where they want me to be.
Yep.
But no, actual guide dogs they go through extensive training, obedience training, and then extensive, highly specialized training. And by the way, I just got to say this: if your dog is a pet dog and they don't have the training, and they keep your damn dog out of public places that they're not well trained enough to handle. Don't put your dog in that situation. Don't put service dog handlers you might run into in that situation, because there have been numerous instances over the past few years of service dogs getting attacked by other dogs that, they're scared, they're in situations they can't handle, so they lash out, and, service dogs and their handlers, can, it can ruin a dog's career, or seriously injure, or even result in the death of the dog. So, just don't do it. Keep your dogs at home. I would never, I don't understand people. I don't understand people. Service dog issues aside, I would never put either of my dogs in a situation that they're not ready to handle, that they're not trained to handle. It's just it's wrong on so many levels. Don't do it.
I'm in agreement with you. I don't understand. I love my dogs. I love my dogs, but you know what?
Yep.
I'm not going to take them into a store, and I'm not going to leave them in the car. Because leaving them in
Absolutely.
the car is very, very bad for them. I'd rather leave them at home where they're going to be safe, they're going to be sound, and they're not going to be, I don't have to worry about them hurting anybody.
Yep.
And this ridiculousness of people bringing their dogs with them everywhere. First off, holding your dog is as dangerous as holding your kid in your lap while you're driving. It's
Yep.
just not smart. Let me ask you this when it comes to the crossing of the streets. The addition of, let's say, the beeping crosswalk sound and stuff like that, is that helping? Are they training dogs now to listen for the beep at all?
No.
No. Okay, I didn't know for sure. I
The
wanted to.
only thing the dog is trained to do is if you go to step out in the street and there's a car coming, the dog is trained to disobey you and not go.
Okay.
You gotta figure out when it's safe to cross the street. You gotta tell the dog, okay, forward. Yeah, and those beeping traffic signals, they're distracting for me. I mean, a lot of blind people love them. They're the thing, but they don't tell you. They tell you when the light change. They don't tell you that if some idiot's going to be, running the light, and so yeah, they're overrated.
Yeah, and again, this is where, in a situation where, you know what, we all know the people in back of us are impatient, and we need to stop at that yellow light, but we can see the people behind us gunning it, thinking that they can make it.
Mhm.
And you got to remember, there are people who, they can't see that you're running a yellow to red light, and this is dangerous. Again, we need to take our time. We need to relax a little bit, and we need to realize, hey, you know what? If we're running late, leave a little earlier. Don't do stupid stuff.
That's such a
I
good point. And I don't know about Angela, but I know for me, I've walked independently through almost every major city in this country. Denver, Seattle, Portland, Baltimore. So many others. And I'm, orthopedic issues in my legs and feet aside, I am a good traveler. I've gotten good training. I'm very confident in my skills. And I can't tell you how many times I've had a close call where I've done everything by the book. And whether it's somebody trying to run a yellow, whether it's somebody who's trying to squeeze through and make a right turn on red, whatever the case may be, I can't tell you how many times I've wondered if I was, how lucky I was to make it back home that day.
Yep.
Think how many accidents, be they, you know, automobile on automobile, automobile on pedestrian. How many accidents, how many tragedies would be saved if we all just waited a beat, just didn't try to, didn't try to rush through that intersection. There's not much difference between being 5 minutes late and being 3 minutes late. The time that you're saving is not worth the stress that it causes you and other people to rush through life like that. Just slow down. You're going to get there. And like Zach said, leave a little earlier.
And then I'm going to say this, and this is just because I truly believe it's true. You people near coffee shops, relax. The coffee ain't going freaking anywhere. You guys pulling into coffee shops, I am telling you right now, people getting in and out of coffee shops are just about as dangerous as drunks. And I am not joking about that. And
Wow.
anybody who's ever been on a motorcycle that's been around a coffee shop will agree with what I'm saying. People do not give a damn about anybody when they're trying to get in and out of coffee shops. And that's true.
You know what I do? You know what I do? It's an amazing concept. I make my coffee at home.
You don't spend $300 an hour,
It's
a
it's
day on
cheaper.
coffee? What's wrong
It
with
it
you?
it's cheaper. It's better, and I don't have to, you know, risk people's lives getting to it because I'm one of those people that getting between me and my coffee is a risk.
I don't
But
drink this stuff. I don't like this stuff. And I think a lot of it has to do with the people who go to coffee shops.
hey,
I
I'm
just,
I'm I'm well aware of my potential homicidal tendencies, so I've worked to mitigate them. I get up before everybody else usually. I make my coffee, or usually turn the coffee pot on because I set it up the night before. I get my coffee, and then I drink a couple cups of coffee, and then I'm fit to rejoin the human race.
this next one is one that I really like this. I really like this one because I think that you know what, every single one of us has something that we do differently than everyone else, and thinking that most of us are depressed about having a disability, I think that that is just something that you need to remember, that you know what, we just learn to do something in a different way. It's not life ending, that we have to learn how to do something a different way.
I was having a conversation with an advisor to the organization a couple of days ago who um works works in the realm of religion and spirituality, and was asking about whether it's appropriate to, when they come across someone, to pray for them to be healed. And I said, well, let's take a step back and examine what healing may look like to that person, because oftentimes healing may very well be coming to grips with our circumstances and learning to lean into who we are, all of who we are, or some other variant thereof, and not necessarily alleviation of the disability. And I look at it even within myself. I have no qualms about being happy to be who I am as far as being born a blind person. I'm still getting there when it comes to all the surgeries I've had and the various, other things I deal with by virtue of Ehlers-Danlos. So I understand that contradiction even within my own body, but I think it's helpful to separate the presence of a disability from this notion that we are automatically going to be depressed about it or anxious about it or whatever, so that we can say, okay, when somebody's going through the grieving process, that's fine, but we can also say, look, there is a light at the end of the tunnel and a pathway to where it won't be like this forever. You're going to learn how to be the best version of you regardless of your disability, and thus we could separate um, any sort of mental health applications from this notion of just, well, I'm disabled, therefore I'm depressed.
I say God grant me patience, and Dan makes a face. But it really is something that I pray for myself. Um, and we all have attributes for which we would seek the Lord's intercession, but it's different for everybody. And for all the things for which I would seek God's intercession, patience, wisdom, steadiness of hand, clarity of mind, steadiness of hand in the sense of making decisions, with steadiness and with discernment. Blindness is at the bottom of that list. Um And it comes off as so presumptuous when people come up and say, "Can I pray for you to be healed?" It just, prayer was never meant to be used that, or to be, how do I want to say this? That's not what prayer is for.
I've had
And
a couple, yeah, I've had a couple people ask me, if, do you mind if I pray for you? And I tell them, you know what, you do what you feel you need to
Mhm.
do. You do what you need to, you do what you feel you need to do. That's fine, but you're doing it for you and you're not doing it for me. I don't need that. So I'm sorry, Angela. I didn't know I cut you off. I didn't mean to do that.
No, that's fine. But in terms of people with disabilities are depressed about their disability, let me again draw the distinction between people who, well, first let me say, yeah, people who are born with disabilities and people who acquire disabilities later in life. Because if you acquire a disability later in life, there is a grieving process.
Yep.
You go through a transition, and maybe you would seek God's intercession to help give you strength through that transition, and to accept what life has in store for you. Thy will be done, that sort of thing. But on the other side of that transition can be a productive and fulfilling life. Maybe it's not the life that you thought you were going to have, but there is a good life on the other side of that transition, on the other side of that grieving process. Now, if you were born with a disability, I'm sorry, that is my dog growling to be let out.
Oh, thank God. I thought it was my stomach.
She wants to be a guest on the podcast, Zach. She's saying,
Let her. My dogs pop up over my shoulder all the time. That's the reason why they're
"Oh."
out right now. So, yeah.
I'll let you out in a minute. Just chill. But what was I saying before she interrupted?
You were talking about how someone like me, there was when I first lost my hearing, it was like, it was different for me than
Yep.
it was for you. But somebody telling you that, oh my God, you've got to be depressed because, oh, you're blind. Oh, you can't see the things in the world. I know that this has got to be depressing for you. And no, you see in your own way.
Well, I do, and it's if you've never had it, you can, I suppose you can miss the concept of it, but you can never really you can't really grieve what you never had. Um, and there's a lot to unpack there in terms of society and other people telling us that we're missing something. I'm going to let you guys talk about that. I'm going to let the baby out.
Well, let me just say, one of the reasons why this is such an important topic, speaking as somebody who has a mental health history separate from any of the other things we talked about, when there is the presence of a disability and you have an attempt to find mental health support, even professional mental health support, if the underlying assumption is that the disability is the crux of that mental health crisis or those mental health needs, there's an inevitability that enters the equation. And through that inevitability, oh, well, you're not going to be able to find whatever kind of renewed joy that actually sabotages the process of trying to get mental health treatment. So it is really important to get this message out there and say, no, there's there is no real connection between the presence of a disability and a mental health that is intrinsic. It's a lot of times it's learned or it's situational, so that we can have access to some form of disability affirming therapy, or even therapy that just allows us to set the disability aside and concentrate on whatever's rearing up, because otherwise you end up in some situations where trying to find help actually ends up making things worse because the focus is just completely on the wrong things.
I think it's a great fact that, look, there are people who are fully abled, quote unquote fully abled, who are just as depressed as somebody who has had a disability, an ability challenge their entire life. I mean, there are people who are depressed, who are blind. There are people who are just fine. That, they've lived their life. They know what they are. They know who they are. Then there's people who are completely put together that are miserable. And
there's a difference between being depressed, grieving a transition, or just being, bummed out because, excuse me, things aren't accessible or whatever, or just being annoyed at the nuisance that blindness or disability is sometimes. There's a big difference. And, I guess the takeaway, don't assume another's mental state.
Yeah.
Yeah. That brings up our sixth and final one, and this one is going to make me bite through my jaw, just because this one is one of those statements that you hear that you've just got to kind of shake your head and go, are you real? And that is, having a disability means we are less intelligent or less aware. Are you freaking kidding me?
Well, before Angela goes on, on her tangent, let me just say, as somebody who has a background in education, it never ceases to amaze me that when we're talking about, say, standardized test scores, there's a debate as to whether you include students with disabilities in those test scores, and if you do, just how much we will supposedly weigh those test scores down. There is an assumption that if we are included in those test scores, that we're going to comprise most of that bottom quartile. So as much as we may say, wait a minute, does anyone actually think this? Unfortunately, yeah. It's kind of baked into our discussions of education. It's baked into our discussions of employability. It's there, although nobody wants to really put a finger on it, because if we do, we have to ask ourselves some really uncomfortable questions.
Well, and it's not just limited to the non-disabled community. I had a very prominent figure in a blindness organization that I'm a part of. And of course, she didn't tell me that. She told a friend of mine this. She basically thought that, I'm a nice person, but I'm kind of, not all there in the head, and a lot of it's just attributed to how I respond in noisy situations. And it's like, no, it's got nothing to do with my intelligence. I just can't hear. And it's, if I'm a dumbass, it's not because I'm blind, right? The two things have, but there are cognitive disabilities that affect how we process information, and there are disabilities which affect, which make it harder to score high on standardized testing. But let me say this. Well, let me say two things. First of all, that's just one category of disability. But second of all, who says standardized testing is a measure of intelligence? It's a measure of your ability to read a bunch of information and then regurgitate it back. It's got nothing to do with how smart you are.
And if you want to highlight how poorly we understand the link between intelligence or capability and even learning disabilities, let alone physical or sensory disabilities or other disabilities, look at the fact that we often assume learning disabilities. Look at the image you have. And then for those of you that are fans of the TV show Shark Tank, go on there, understand that even though they rotate hosts or sharks on that show, on any given week, at least two, usually at least three of those five sharks have a learning disability that they have gone forward with. And look how successful and savvy those people are. And that should totally rock your world when it comes to understanding the learning disability or any other sort of neurodiversity world.
Again, I think this is one of those times when we need to bring up the fact that every single person has something they have to overcome.
Yep.
Economic situations, the way that they were raised, the way that they read things, the way that they take things in. Every single one of us has a different, has something that is there that could be an obstacle if you let it be an obstacle.
And it's incumbent on all of us to really put our best selves forward in spite of those obstacles, but it's also incumbent on us to really take a step back and look at each other beyond and apart from whatever it is our paradigm of disability is. Whatever we think disability is, whatever you put it this way, whatever you think disability is, you're probably wrong.
Yeah.
So suspend disbelief, broaden your lens, and this is the day for it.
Oh, I love it. Angela, you're going to be taking a trip.
I'm going to be taking a business trip to Big D next week. I'm going to be doing some in-person networking, which is always a challenge, but I'm going to do it because you got to do it. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Daniel, what do you have coming up?
We have a series of webinars for Pieces of Me coming up, where we're going to talk about how we would like to redefine the topic of inclusion, followed by a series on going back to the basics. When we talk about what is disability, what is accessibility, and how can I help, oftentimes we think we have answers to those questions, but we're going to dive a little deeper, clear some misconceptions, and provide some practical takeaways so that we can all align our good intentions with the results that we aim to see.
Well, I want to thank you both very much for once again working with me and making common sense access something that, once again, we're not out there trying to wag the finger at anyone. We're not out there to point blame. We're out here to help and make clear some of the things that are going on. And like these are great points. And I think that we really got a lot out of them. And the funny thing is, Angela and Daniel, I think that you guys could both agree, we just barely scratched the surface on how far down we could go with each one of these six. I mean, we just barely scratched the surface. Each one of these could be a 12-hour show on its own.
And we challenge you with the hard truth.
Yep.
All right, man, this is the day for it.
Yeah. So, but anyway, if you have any questions, we ask you to please send them to us. You can send them to my email. It's Zak at communitypayitforward.us, Zak at communitypayitforward.us, we'll get your questions answered. That's what we're here for. If you need to make a statement about something that we've said, something that you have a question about, we're not afraid to answer anything. We're not afraid to talk about anything. That's what we're here to do. The one thing we will not do is we will not yell at people.
Yep.
It's
We will
not what we're
challenge
here
you
for.
with the hard truths. And we will do so in a straightforward manner. We're not going to sugarcoat things. We're not politically correct. That's a waste of time. But we can also, if you disagree with something that is said, if you want to make your own point, send us an email. If you have a question, send us an email. Hopefully we'll have enough material to do a viewer response show at some point, at some point in the near future.
Absolutely. And again, this is something that, you know what, if you have any questions, if you have a question about your website and what you can do to make it better, we've also got people that we work with closely that can help you with that. So, look, this is
Absolutely.
just, this is something that, Angela, Daniel, we've got other, like I said, we've got other really, really good friends, mutual friends that are in the Community Pay It Forward program, by the way. That this is our goal. Our goal is to make sure that you are part of the group that's out there trying to get your piece of the $2 trillion pie. So for Angela Fowler, for Daniel Hodges, my name is Zak Clayton. I want to thank you very much, and we will see you on the next episode of Common Sense Access. Thank you.
All right.
Whoever said ignorance is bliss never ran a business. Did you know the vast majority of businesses don't make their products accessible to people with disabilities? And did you know that the collective buying power of people with disabilities is over $2 trillion? And if you're a business owner, you need to know how to make your business accessible so you're not leaving this money on the table. I want to tell you about my family partners at Real Life Access, who can help you connect with this underserved market. Real Life Access clients experience 3 amazing things. First, a reputation for accessibility that brings customers to your door. Second, a freedom of worry about legal consequences from not being ADA compliant. And third, increased revenue. Real Life Access team members offer common sense accessibility solutions which won't break your budget. These are business people who understand the challenges faced by all small businesses. They are also people with disabilities who know what it takes to be accessible. Check out their courses, coaching packages, and so much more at reallifeaccess.com. You'll be glad you did.
Hello world, my name is Z, or you can call me Mr. Z. I am a web developer, and I am also a consultant at Z World Webs. My one goal is to develop custom websites that are specifically catered to your organization's needs. I completely understand that building a website is an exhilarating, exciting, and significant step in connecting with your audience. Your organization has Z potential to make a meaningful impact, whether it's supporting animal rights, advocating for equality, combating human trafficking, or honoring the brave individuals who have served our country. Your mission is too important to be held back by the challenges a website can present. And I am here to ensure that your website works for you, not against you. Whether it's maintaining, developing, or redeveloping a custom website that is specifically catered to your needs. And with that being said, I would be more than delighted to learn more about your organization and, of course, develop a website Z World is waiting for. Thank you.
I love what we're doing with that show just because it is eye-opening to me. I've been working hard to make sure that we're not leaving anybody out in the cold, and we're not leaving any of that $2 trillion on the table. I've got a lot of work to do. You've seen a couple of the videos that I have that don't have any wording on it. Those are not good. They're flat out not. They're okay videos, but not for people who are blind. If you want to see why, go back to last week's episode when I completely confused Angela because I played the Z World Webs video that I had been running for a year. All she heard was that music. She didn't hear a damn thing about what the spot was. It was just 1 minute of music to her. That's all it was. And I realized really quickly, because I was able to see her in the green room, I realized real quickly how badly I'd screwed up. Because she was just sitting there going, and so we are making an effort to get all of our videos that do not have wording to them. We're trying to get that remedied. I want to thank Angela and Daniel, and please be ready because we will be returning in 2 weeks with another Common Sense Access. Again, you can have a huge part, a solo sponsorship hour, when our friend and our community, or our giving partner, Maggie Van Galen, reads her 3 books from The Adventures of Keno in Earnest, when she reads her 3 books. We also need you to share that this is going to happen. I will let everybody know on December 21st exactly what time that is going to appear. Okay? Tell people in your family with kids, while mom and dad are trying to finish up dinner, or while they're just going outside for the after dinner coffee, cocktail, whatever it is. You can sit the kids down next to the smart TV, turn it on our YouTube channel. They can listen to Maggie reading her books. They're kids' books. You don't have to worry about them hearing anything that they shouldn't hear. They're just, and you can be the sponsor of that. We also need other sponsors. We need help to get this program off the air, or off the ground, onto the air. Look, this is a 37-hour endeavor. We need your help. Hey everyone, it's Zach, introducing a special edition to Miracle of a Community That Cares event, where award-winning children's author and community Pay It Forward giving partner Maggie Van Galen is generously donating 3 of her beloved books and 1 hour virtual authors meeting valued at over $175. You know us, we're going to do things a little bit different. Maggie will personally read these heartwarming stories during the event. You could be the solo sponsor of this read. Tickets are just $20, and the winning ticket holder will be announced December 21st at noon East. Don't miss a chance to make a meaningful impact this holiday season, and get your tickets now by scanning the QR code or visiting us at communitypayitforward.us. When the form opens up, this is what it'll look like. Scroll down to the Make a Donation, Purchase a Ticket, or Become a Sponsor section. Get involved how it best suits you. Tickets can be bought by selecting the last option of this section. Thank you for supporting a miracle of a community that cares. This holiday season, as the world celebrates in so many ways, some families are facing it apart, feeling the weight of loneliness. At a miracle of a community that cares, we are creating a space where everyone, regardless of faith or background, can share in the joy of this wonderful season. Join Santa and leaders from all walks of life for stories, special shout-outs, and heartfelt messages from loved ones near and far. Children are taking the lead with art and fun, helping us bring the gift of books to children everywhere. Children in hospitals, children to families of all faiths, and to fortify traditions of families. This season, let's come together as a global community, one that cares, one that gives, and one that embraces all cultures, part of the miracle. Join us from December 24th to December 26th, and let's make this season unforgettable for everyone. Loneliness should never be part of anyone's holiday tradition. That's what it's all about. That's what the miracle is. The miracle is trying to make it to where no one has to be lonely. We can defeat the holiday blues that unfortunately end so many people's lives. Everybody, that's it for me. I am done for the week here on Community Impact. But I am replaying a show from 2 weeks ago when I had Mr. Les Simpson and Mr. J.W. Wilson. And the reason I'm replaying this show is because I think J.W. Wilson was one of the most, some of the science that he was talking about. And I'm a nerd when it comes to science, when it comes to history, when it comes to stuff like that. I love learning. I love hearing different things. And I loved what he was saying. And I really was engaged in what he had to say, and asking him questions and getting answers, the different answers. It was very fun to me. So I'm replaying that show. If you have any questions, please make sure that you reach out to me. You can get me by going to my QR code. Okay. We are having a problem with our job form right now, which is the form for this. If you would like to donate, if you would like to sponsor, if you would like to be a part, and the job form doesn't work, please get us here. Get a hold of me. We'll make this work. If you have to come through this code, I will work with you a little bit and see what we can do. Unfortunately, not with the $20 one, but we'll see on the other sponsorships what I can do just for the extra trouble. Hey, everybody, I want to please remind you to love someone out there because someone out here loves you. Make sure that you understand that if you're not helping anyone, you're hurting everyone. No one needs to go it alone when we all come together. My name is Zak Clayton. I am the president and founder of Community Pay It Forward, Community Dirty Care, and the PAC channels. And please, please, please take care of each other, folks. We're all we got. That's it. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. If you got any show ideas, please reach out to me. If you got anything to share, please reach out to me. We're a show for podcasting for all coming together. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Be solid and be loving to each other.
Show me the way. You wanna hold the heart of Sunset Boulevard. Bring me here, 'cause it's not quite clear to be a part of Sunset Boulevard.